Today's episode brought to you by huge unexpected changes. Who knows what the future will hold?
Drop the beat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I'm your host, The Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. How are you? Big week.
I'm doing well. It is a big week. It's a real big week. I don't know why.
We're known for going over on time, and I would certainly expect it to happen this week.
Yeah, it very well might. It very well might. But we're here, and we're ready to go. And I've got a general time of when we started, and I'm going to try to keep us within time. But me explaining that we're going to be kept in time is actually, inversely affecting me helping us.
Working against us.
It's really working against us. Really shouldn't keep going. So let's go on to normal. So let's do some housekeeping. Let's do some housekeeping. Yeah. So we finally decided we're going to start our next giveaway. I don't know how we're going to do it. We'll probably do another Twitter giveaway. We'll have a tweet and whatnot. I don't know. We haven't really thought about it, but I did decide what we're going to be giving away. We're going to be giving away one of the deluxe Winston Funko Pop doll things that you can find at GameStop and other places. The big old Winston one, the cool one, the best one.
Yeah, I still don't really know what those things are other than people love them and want them. So I think it's a really good item to give away here. And I'm excited to see how excited you guys get about it. So if you're in chat and pumped about it, let us know. Or if you want to send us a tweet and let us know, we'll definitely continue to give those types of items away if the response is big enough. So.
Yeah, if people like the Funkos, then we'll keep giving away the Funkos. If you want something else, let us know. No one has really gotten back to us in a huge way about what they do or don't want. So you get stuck with the junk that I pick. That's,
And before we forget, thank you very much. As you can see, if you're watching visually on YouTube or on Twitch, we have a fan submission. Actually, one of my teammates, Lucky 7, you can follow him on Twitter. I will get the exact link for his Twitter account while I tell you. He has Lucky 7 OW on
Twitch.
On Twitch, yes. So you can watch him stream. You'll be seeing a little bit of me in there as well. Probably.
And sometimes me.
Play with him quite a bit. Yeah, the occasional Blevins appearance. That's always nice to have.
No, not if you want to win the game. It's not.
But where is he? Let's see. It's got to be coming up here any second. I think it's just Lucky 7 OW on Twitter as well. He's in chat, so he can correct us if that's wrong. But I haven't found it exactly either. We set this thing up about 5 minutes before we went live.
Not even 5 minutes.
Yeah, not even. So forgive us for our unpreparedness there, Lucky. Thank you so much. At Lucky7_OW on Twitter. So
and it's 7 all spelled out, not the number 7.
Yes. The words Lucky7_OW. So follow him on Twitter. Say hello. A friend of mine and a very good guy.
Yeah, good people. One of the better Reinhardts I've ever played with.
He has no aim. He has no brain. You guessed it right. He's Reinhardt main.
He sure is. And that's still better than anything I can muster up.
You don't even have to make up a new one. Like, you could just switch whatever hero you want in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody out there hates him enough to think he's easy mode and doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, it's an automatically working copy pasta.
Yeah, and I don't know why this made me think of this, but someone posted a Reddit post about Tracer. Had nothing to do. Well, I'm not even going to bring up what it had nothing to do about, because that perpetuates that. Whatever. But someone was like, my mind was blown today by Tracer when I realized that when she reloads her guns, they just go back in time, and I was like, I didn't realize that, and then when I realized it, my mind was also blown. And then the top rated response was, I found out how Reaper's guns work today. They don't. I don't know why I like stupid humor like that, but that got a nice little chuckle out of me.
It's Blizzard's fault for putting these little Easter eggs and tiny things for us to find throughout their games. I blame them.
Yeah,
We enjoy them too much, and that's their fault.
we definitely do. So, without going on too much about nothing, which is pretty much at least 70 to 80% of the show,
Yeah,
let's move on to our first segment. What did we do last week?
Actually, keep an eye out, guys. Tomorrow, if you're watching live, or yesterday, if you're watching on the recording, our sponsor, Creation Esports, our good friends over there, are signing a new Overwatch team. And
Oh, yes.
not a small one, from what we're told. So it's a name you should recognize. That's the only details we can give you at the moment, since we do broadcast live. But nonetheless, keep an eye out for them, and we'll be back soon to having a dog in the race that we can root for here, Blevins. So
yes, I'm gonna try not to talk about as much because I didn't want to know, so I'm not gonna say anything. But yes, it's gonna be cool to have Creation have a team. And that's really cool. Check out creationesports.com to find the announcement there. Check out their Twitter at Creation Esports on Twitter. And while you're there, you can always check us out because we're also on there. And if you're watching live or on YouTube, you can see right down there, nice little Creation logo. Nice bearded mage. Gotta love it. So yes,
it was an unbearded mage before we started talking to him.
That's true. We were like, we'd really love to work with you guys, but your logo just doesn't have enough beard. And they're like, we'll work on it, and they did. Some of that may or may not be true, but
yes, definitely false. But we'll like it's true.
The part where they're signing a popular Overwatch team is true.
Very,
very true. So
congratulations to them and the players. But we'll talk more about that next week.
Yes, we'll talk in much more detail about that next week. So, yes, now we can actually go into our regularly scheduled segment. What did we do last week? Deathblow, what'd you do, buddy?
I actually had kind of a big week this week since the last show. I applied for a job, got an interview for a job, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. So hopefully within a week or two, I have some news there one way or the other. I do think it went pretty well, so we'll have to wait and see exactly how all of that plays out. But most importantly, all that matters is ranked mode came out.
Yeah.
So, I've been doing nothing but, we'll get into the details of that as we talk about the tournaments, since our friends at Creation were kind enough to use the new competitive play format for their tournament, which was awesome. But so, yeah, I'm advanced 2 with 90 of 100 points, so I'm getting close to advanced 3. I was not part of the absurdly fast group to shoot straight up to heroic or anything like that, but I have been playing it a good amount. It's tough to climb. There's a lot of up and down. We've talked about what did we call it, ELO hell, I think
in one of the early episodes.
Yeah, so I think that's a little bit accentuated, and I've had some conversations with actually Lucky 7 about how this is a little bit of a myth, a little bit, but I will say I do think it exists. I just think it's not as often of a problem as people blame it. But I also think it's a bit accentuated with the shallow number of people in the beta, and everybody just being immediately at the same rank, We did, as a team, we walked into competitive mode 5 minutes after the patch went live. We didn't know the details of it, how it worked, anything like that.
Yeah.
And instantly played against Cloud9, first map.
Nice.
And it was brutal. So, again, we'll get into the specifics of it later, but it was really funny because after we got smoked 2-0, we then go to that third capture point, and not even they knew what the hell was going on. We're all just like, interesting. Okay, let's do this. And I will say we held our own on that third point. We did a fairly decent job of we took the point twice from them, I want to say, and it was not quite their full team, but more than close enough that they were they had little problems dispatching with us. But yeah, on that third point, we put up a fight and had a pretty good go with it. So we were pretty pleased with that. And since then, the 6-man queues are a little tougher, but as these pro teams move up and up, more separation will be there, and I think it'll it'll kind of, everything will start to settle out in the next week or two where everybody's rank should be among the beta participants. So.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely going to be skewed early on because there's just not enough people.
One last thing I did.
Yeah.
I hit level 200, so now I've got that fancy little star underneath my name.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fancy. I'm not even 100 yet.
Pleb.
Yeah, pleb confirmed. So do we know, and this is a question from the chat, so guys, if you're listening on the audio only, you can always interact with us 7 p.m. Eastern on Mondays because we record live. Hi, YouTube. And sometimes we answer chat questions. So that's about as much as I'll say about that, but got to plug it. Do we know if MMR is related to competitive, or is there a hidden MMR that we know of or don't know of? Is there or is the ranking only based on your actual rank in the competitive mode?
Don't know that there's any way to actually answer that definitively. I don't know that an answer has been placed. I'm of the opinion that it has to be a factor in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
At least I sure hope so. I can vouch for the fact that when you right click on a player and hit avoid them, that's not necessarily being taken into account for rank play. Because we have had some people we've avoided and tried to avoid a second time, only to discover that
you'd already avoided them.
Fixed itself. But it's not out there. It's not public that I know of how it's ranked. But I can't imagine they're not using it in some capacity to assign you to your players. So
true. There's got to be something, but it's not known. And even in Heroes of the Storm, there's still hidden MMR that you can't look at except on hot slogs, which isn't technically official. So who knows if we'll ever get it.
And I mean, when we queued as a team, we got the same level of players. We played against those pro teams, on occasion and things like that. So I would expect it to be the same, even when it's not pro teams, it's the similar names that I was seeing before in the old queues. So I would imagine it's involved, but obviously maybe not as much as what your actual rank is.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll learn more about it as it advances, and they've already said that this is kind of a test run. The first actual season isn't even going to start until sometime after launch, so we're kind of in the preseason right now, working out the kinks and figuring things out as we go. So that's nice. So as for what I did last week, didn't play nearly as much Overwatch as I wanted to. I was gone all weekend. Went to the big city, the actual big city, New York City, and did some stuff. There. Saw a play. Saw Jersey Boys, which was nice because I like the movie. So that was fun. Played a little bit of ranked play. I think 2 games. I think I'm 1-1 in ranked play. Actually, yeah, I played a ranked game with Catnip's team, or not team, but people playing with her, and it was interesting. I was playing really bad, and we weren't that coordinated, and like I was hearing half of the chat on her stream, and then the other half like in-game chat. So it's like we weren't nearly as coordinated as we should have been. And I was like, I'm not playing good enough to like justify myself staying in here, and I wanted to go to sleep anyway, so I was done after one game. And also the first game I played in ranked was on Temple of Anubis, and I was just like, I just want to concede right now. I just don't want to play.
I think the new Temple is actually better than like Volskaya and Hanamura probably, but for some reason it's just so hated, and I think it's just carryover because it doesn't feel exceptionally different when you're playing it than it used to, but that extra door going into point 2 just means a world of difference. It has fixed it quite a bit for me. I don't hate it, but I understand the hate for it.
It does and it doesn't. On the one hand, you've got more ways to enter. On the other hand, that just creates, in quick match, mind you, that just creates more ways for your team to go in different ways one at a time and get picked off, which tends to happen in quick match, but that's from the perspective of a filthy pleb casual like myself, not the level 200 ringer that we have right over there. So a little bit of a different experience for me. Where is he? Where are they? So yeah, I still hate it, and I love myself some potato gardens. Mostly because of I think
The name.
specifically because for those wondering, Hanamura is Potato Gardens. Specifically because that was one of the only maps we could play during beta weekend, and I got in beta weekend, so feels good, man.
Yeah, there's a special place in my heart for those maps I got to play back then, for sure.
Yeah.
As much as I was sick of them at the end of that weekend and the, non-stop gameplay I had because I knew they were going to shut my ass and stuff. But yeah, they were a really good time. And I kind of like Hanamura, personally. I hate attacking it, but I really like defending it.
I love defending it. Might be one of the only maps I actually prefer defending instead of attacking, which is really interesting. Love myself some Junkrat on that map. But yeah, so that's about all I did. I didn't really do anything else interesting, or at least I can't think of anything else I did. So let's move on to our next regularly scheduled segment, the Tournament Talk. This is going to be Tournament Talk and competitive scene news. It's kind of all combined. We've got some big news. Do we want to start with the big? Well, we already kind of talked about one, which we can't really talk about more. So
yeah, there's so much that kind of ties into all these things that we're really just going to use the tournament talk to talk about the rest of the things because they tie in so well with that conversation. So to open up the weekend this weekend, though, we had the King of the Watch tournament on stream.me, hosted by Creation Esports, our fabulous sponsor. Again, watch out for their news tomorrow. It's big. You'll want to know.
And by that, you mean, well, actually, everyone in the chat tomorrow,
yes.
Everyone who's listening, yesterday.
Go back in time and read the announcement. But yes, so they had IDDQD was the king of the watch, and rip. We've been talking about what would make them lose, and we figured it out. If Pluppy, Mendo, and Rafflegator all pack up and leave town and don't play with them anymore, that's going to create some significant shakeups. And I thought we were going to have an interesting conversation because I didn't expect them to play at all this weekend, John. Yeah. But they did participate in the Invitational. So I was expecting an interesting conversation about, does this count as a forfeit, them giving up their King of the Watch spot?
Yeah.
And would that count as they're no longer undefeated? Because in every other sport, if you forfeit, you get a loss. You don't get an asterisk or anything like that. It's a loss. But we'll get into the next tournament later. Spoiler alert, they lost.
And it was only a week late before you could have possibly claimed credit for it.
I know. Pluppy and Mendo couldn't have jumped ship a week earlier and made me seem like I had insider info.
And you want to know why?
I was ringing for him in scrims.
You want to know why
they were trying to replace him,
You want to know why they stayed? Because Mendo is my best friendo. He knew that he wanted me to win that bet.
So what we had this week on King of the Watch was Reunited facing off against Gringos. That was going to be their kind of placement match to figure out who goes against IDDQD for the week, but they just moved them into the feature, and that was taken convincingly 4-0 by Reunited. So congratulations to them. It was really, it seemed closer watching it than
they usually do.
Yeah, on the score, but they used the new competitive rules. So I'm going to explain those to you guys briefly now. And that's the map selection is random. The game just puts you on a map. Now, if it's a payload map or a point capture map, if it's anything other than King of the Hill, each team's going to get a turn to attack. Okay, so Team A will attack Team B, and if Team A wins, you go into the next game, or if they lose, you go into the next game. And then you flip sides, so the defending team attacks now. So if after the end of those 2 rounds, both teams have won a round, okay, you go into a sudden death. Obviously, if one team won on attack and defense, then they're the winners, and you go on. Winners get 20 points or 40 if they're on a streak, and it takes 100 to move up a division. And then there's 5 divisions inside each rank. So if you go into the sudden death, you play basically on a random King of the Hill map, one of the points, okay, and the winner takes the whole thing. Now, the losers in that scenario only lose 10 points because they made it into the sudden death. So it's half as punishing to lose if you go into sudden death. I really like that feature, actually. But,
yeah, it's pretty sweet.
It helps a lot with climbing. I think it would be too difficult to climb if you lost 20 going in.
And it would feel so bad. It's like losing with Control Warrior or Handlock. It's like you played a 30-minute game just to like lose in fatigue.
Right.
That's like
just to end your win streak.
Yeah, just to end the win streak. Yep. It's like,
But so anyways, now if your map that you get is a control point or a capture the King of the Hill map, then you play best 3 out of 5. The order that the points appear is random, and 2 of them will repeat if you go all the way through to 5 games. So a really interesting structure and very different from the stopwatch mode that we've seen in the past. And the reason for this is really for the viewers, for the spectators of tournaments, in my opinion, at least.
Kaplan kind of said that a little bit too.
Yeah, it feels weird to just have a game end in the middle of a map. You know, watching the tournament, it was phenomenal to see. You know, okay, they lost they would have lost normally, but now as a viewer, I get to see what strats they were going to use on the second half of that map. I'm going to get to watch just more gameplay in general. The only downside to running a tournament this way was that the custom game lobby doesn't accommodate this. So they needed to play out the map and then go into a King of the Hill map, which will randomize the point for you when you go in there now. And then they had to do it kind of independently and then leave again. So it made it a little more disjointed running the tournament. However, Blizzard can fix that with one checkbox in the settings, and I don't think we should count that against using it for the tournament. But just kind of a note, if you see any tournaments run it that way, that's why it might look a little disjointed.
A little clunky.
Yeah, the format for the tournaments isn't built into the game yet, so they have to kind of do it on their own. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the format for that, John?
I personally really like it, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit before. The stopwatch, it made sense conceptually, and it made sense from a player perspective, like, okay, we need to do this, and in the player's mind, it's like, okay, we need to stop this time, we need to get this time. The whole excitement of it is, you don't necessarily care about the excitement and viewership of it if you're playing the game. If you're the player, you don't care about that. However, Jeff Kaplan brought up a good point, and you echoed it a little bit. It feels really weird from a viewer perspective, even if you can see the countdown up in the top. It feels really weird to be on the the middle of Numbani and just have everyone stop the game. It's like, oh, they didn't get the time, let's just push it out to the end to see the play of the game. It's kind of it creates an unnatural finish to the match, which feels unsatisfying from a viewer perspective. Now, on the flip side of that, when the games in stopwatch went down to the wire and they were at the end, they felt really good. The problem is that you can't guarantee that that's going to happen, and when they didn't happen, it was really bad. Now there's a fixed end. You can't have a draw at all. No, it's not possible. So you're going to have an end to the match. The sudden death, I thought that was a really great way to do sudden death. Just have the one random King of the Hill map. And then, it could still be unexciting if one team just steamrolls the other in the last match, but that's going to happen one way or the other.
Right.
That sometimes a team is going to steamroll another team. That's just the nature of it. I could see them, maybe they make a map that is specifically made for sudden death instead of having it be like Final Destination, but you only get to pick foxes and there's no items and
fox only. I love it.
Yeah. Actually, that is the actual sudden death. Is that you actually
over to brawl?
Yeah. No. Melee. It's melee, and you have to play it on a GameCube with a GameCube controller. That's how the game Overwatch turns into a GameCube, and you play. I mean,
10 out of 10 would watch.
Yeah, 100% would watch. It would be the greatest thing ever. But yeah, I could see them doing that. I could see them doing something more custom. It just kind of seems like that. It feels almost like a placeholder to have that. Just go to a random King of the Hill map. I mean, it makes sense. It seems like Blizzard would do something more.
It's a little disjointed, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd almost think, if only there was a way to take every map and make a capture the point out of it, or a King of the Hill out of it, so that way you stay on that
in the same continent or whatever.
Right, theme a capture point for each map, so when you go into it, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I think this is fine.
I think it's fine logistically. I think it's great. I just think that it feels a little unpolished for what Blizzard usually does, and I agree. A like Numbani themed capture the or King of the Hill, I think is what we'll probably end up seeing eventually.
Yeah, if they decide to keep it, we might move into a completely by the time we record this next week, we could be talking about the new rank mode settings for all we know.
Yeah, true.
They put it in because they want it there for launch because the community wanted it that bad. They put in a ton of work on it. One thing I did last week I forgot to mention, I beat Jeff Kaplan again, and I did it in ranked, and I did it on stream, so the video can be up on YouTube if I just ever remember to go ahead and
press the 2 buttons that it takes to do it.
3 buttons it would take, and it was even my first match of the stream, so it should be crazy easy to find, and I just until now completely forgot it happened. But
nice.
And he actually said that the guys put in a ton of work, and it clearly still needs a ton of work. But we were all really complimentary of it, and just thank you, Blizzard, for putting this in there, because
absolutely,
it might not be the best thing for the beta, but it's the best thing for the game to have going into launch and open beta. So I'm ecstatic that it at least beat open beta. And we were talking about how the achievement said competitive or casual play, and that to me was an indicator to expect it sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
it was even sooner than I anticipated. I did not expect it this fast,
and it was really cool. I was not at work. I was definitely on my own time watching Chan Man's podcast live with Chan Man, Fish Sticks, Shade, and I don't think there's another host for that show. I don't know. But Jeff Kaplan was on that, and I was checking Reddit, and they're like, oh, 3 hours from now this will go live. And I'm looking, and it's 2 hours, 59 minutes ago. I'm like, I'm going to tune in, see Jeff Kaplan on there. They asked Jeff Kaplan a bunch of great questions. And then they're like, so Jeff, are there anything you want to talk about? We heard rumors that there's a new patch coming out, and he's like, is there anything you want to talk about? He's like, yeah, the next patch is going to be coming out. We're going to have competitive mode in it, saying it completely nonchalant. All the casters are like, what? The chat is going crazy. And they're like, he's like, yeah, it's coming out soon. And by that, I mean, and he looks at his watch. He's like, in about 45 minutes. And I'm just like,
real life PogChamp.
Yeah, real life PogChamp. Yeah. PogChamp and Krasming. I'm Krasming. While I'm definitely not at work and definitely on my own time. Right. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
But I do want to take this opportunity to just say, what the hell, Jeff? What podcast did you go on, man? Come on. We've been talking about you. We've had running Jeff Kaplan jokes for I don't even know how long.
I know, and they were supposed to be dead, and they came back.
Because they came true. The joke turned into reality, and I really did beat you at your own game. And instead of it being a ludicrous concept, it became reality. It would have been the best to get him on and have his first Overwatch podcast appearance be here on High Noon. But no, obviously, do you remember the name of that show? I can't even, it's like Town Hall or something. It's not Overwatch themed, so I forgot the name.
Yeah, it's like Town Hall something. It's Chan Man.
Yeah, Chan Man's a big personality. We obviously don't expect to get an exclusive Jeff Kaplan interview. Don't worry, guys. We're not totally delusional. But feel free to check that out, though, because that might be, if they went on there now, it might not be Jeff that does it the next time. It could be a different developer or somebody else.
Because Jeff's going to be busy on our show.
Yeah. Jeff will be recording his interview for High Noon. He won't be able to make it, but keep an eye on that show as well, because that's actually where I first heard about the map callouts that we talked about on this show. And I think they had Spo on to talk about how he did those. I can't remember exactly how they came about discussing that, but a lot of good information on that show as well. So make sure you guys check them out.
Yeah, and that actually reminds me, we got a bit of a shout out over the weekend from, and I really don't want to mess up. Oh, there we go. Okay, from at Not Patrick on Twitter. He is a co-host of, I don't want to mess up the show. Which show is it? I believe it's Overwatchers. Oh no, this is ending in blasphemy. Ruined, completely ruined.
I'm trying to find it for you to help me.
Yeah, but Patrick Beja. He and Garrett Weinzerl, who does our favorite podcast, the Angry Chicken Podcast, and unironically one of my favorite podcasts, Into the Nexus, the Heroes of the Storm podcast. That's actually the only non-Overwatch video game podcast I listen to is Into the Nexus, which Garrett Weinzerl does. Garrett Weinzerl and Patrick Beja do the Overwatch version, which I believe is Overwatchers. Okay, good. I don't look like that much of an ass, except I do now because whatever. But yeah, he one of his fans asked him for some Overwatch podcast recommendations, and we came up. So Patrick, if you're listening, thank you. I apologize for butchering everything the last 2.5 minutes, but appreciate the shout out. And I need to catch up on your guys' podcast. Garrett, if you're listening, I'm caught up on Into the Nexus.
Well, thank you guys so much, and our viewers should check out the Overwatchers as well. It's a podcast I know I've heard when I have to. I download and catch up on podcasts.
Yeah,
I don't
do
usually
too.
watch them on the spot.
Yep.
Or listen to them on the spot weekly, like I know you guys love to do for us. So thank you so much. At least hit download. We don't care as much if you listen, but
just being honest here. We're the only honest podcast.
I've definitely heard it. It stood out to me as a show I liked, and I actually missed that shout out. So thank you directly from me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So anyone who's from there, thank you for stopping by and let us know, and we'll say hi or something. I don't know. So we kind of have mixed, and we've blended today. There's a lot of blending of tournament talk, and
yes.
I feel like we kind of went into our other segment, but I didn't introduce it, so I'm just gonna do it now, so that we can have it in the show. So without further ado. Oh, the sound effect doesn't work.
Rip. Oh, yeah, it doesn't work on the soundboard I made.
Oh, no. I just ruined everything. I just started playing the outro.
Well, we're going to break it down.
I just started playing the outro. Okay, yes. Pay no attention to the man behind the
here at the High Noon Podcast.
Yes, okay.
As always,
but
my face is now gone, too, on the stream. Nobody can see me. That's probably an improvement.
Nope,
so
we're back.
Everybody
We're back.
Sent,
thank
you letters to the Blevins for that.
Okay, so what I was trying to say before the sound effect stopped working is, let's break it down. We have the sound effect. We've had it in every show before this, and it didn't work this time. So, yes, we've already kind of been talking about that. So, just to recap where we've been all over the place this episode. We told you, we prefaced, we're probably going to go over today. It's fine. We started with Pluppy and Mendo, and you said Rafflegator as well. I didn't hear about Rafflegator. I saw that he made the announcement, but I thought he was still a part of IDDQD.
No, he did step out, and yeah, if we're moving into, we were going to kind of save that for the next tournament conversation, which we might as well just move into now.
Yeah, let's just move into it.
Yeah, the good stuff that came from King of the Watch was the new format, which is what we wanted to make sure we talked about.
Yeah.
The actual event, like we said, was a kind of a 4-0 stomp. But awesome to see that new format anyways. So the Invitational
really like
this weekend, John, you want to tell people how that played out and who finished where?
Yeah, so we had the One Nation of Gamers Invitational that we've talked about last few weeks. And we had the top 4, which was a double elimination tournament. So it wasn't the same format that we've been used to. It was double elimination. We had Impulse 11, Reunited, Cloud9, and IDDQD. And Deathblow, can you take a guess at who won?
Cloud9.
Cloud9 won. We saw the first fall of IDDQD. And I think regardless of anything, there's always going to be an asterisk there for if they ever actually lost as IDDQD proper. Because they didn't have the Plupster and they didn't have my best friendo.
Yeah, so probably my favorite moment in this tournament was IDDQD beating IDDQD because there's this added level of confusion. I believe it's Impulse 11 has a player named IDDQD on their team, and they played against the team IDDQD, and those poor casters, they did a phenomenal job with it. But just every time they said it, had to clarify the team or the player.
Yeah,
it was a whole lot of fun. I don't know what maybe it's my commentary experience, as shallow as it is, makes me just really enjoy things that are super difficult on casters.
Well, it was great because it just felt like Hex and ZP last week were just so used to, it was like they were so just like dead behind the eyes saying it. They're like, and we just got a nice pick from IDDQD, the player, not the team. And it's like, oh, and IDDQD is doing well, the team, not the player. And just like rattling it off like it's nothing, and just like saying it as if it were like a normal conversation. It's like, it's the Blevins, the player, not the team. Hi.
Right.
It's like, hi, I'm the Blevins, the player, not the team. Like, it's nothing. It was a treat for me and for you, and also for this mouse that's been over your face for the last 5 minutes. Sorry, audio listeners, you don't know all the hardships we go through during the live show. But yeah, I really appreciated that. But yeah, Cloud9 won, and we kind of talked about this before. How, at least in my mind, Cloud9 was number 2. In my book, whether that was personal bias for my love of Cloud9, the team, from other esports or not,
all things NA.
Yeah, all things NA, NA fandom. They had put up the results to also, back that up. So it's no surprise that Cloud9 ended up taking this. And we kind of talked about, well, at least I did. I was going to kind of claim, this One Nation of Gamers Invitational, this was going to be the beta championships. I was like, Cloud9 beta champions, they'll forever have that. However, that is not going to be the case. There is a new tournament that Gosu Gamers is putting out that is going to be beta championship. Whether they stole that idea from us or not, who knows? I mean, they know that they didn't, but it will forever maybe have been our idea. But they are going to be doing the Overkill Beta League, which is going to be starting soon. I'm looking at the page. April 12th, 13th, 14th, 18th, 19th, and 20th, with the disclaimer that the dates may change if the beta goes in or out, et cetera, et cetera. But this is going to be a $5,000 tournament, sponsored by DX Racer, Matcherino, and Gosu Gamers. So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, clearly the sponsors are getting their return on investment from these tournaments, because I've seen the prize pools continue to step up as we've moved week to week here. Like we said, we build this invitational as the beta championships, and since an NA team won it, I'm going to keep that in place and say that Cloud9 is the champions here.
I mean, they're still, I mean, we're looking at, we can see the teams right here. It's Cloud9, Team Liquid, Luminosity and Envious are the NA division, and the European division is IDDQD, Reunited, Impulse 11, and Flat Earth. From the look of these teams, Cloud9, at least as of right now, has got to be the favorite to take this down.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about this invitational tournament was it's the fairest that I've seen run. It wasn't
the fairest.
This tournament's on EU, or this tournament's on NA. It was we're going to cross both servers. We're going to play on both pings. If in the event that it was EU versus NA, they alternated, and it felt right to me. And Cloud9 didn't lose, not once throughout the entire event. They won through the winner's bracket all the way, and faced some really strong teams from the very beginning. So big congratulations to them. I asked them to take down IDDQD for us, and they obliged. So I was definitely happy to see the NA team win. And Cloud9 just has such a really strong group of core players on their individual play skill alone. Let's set aside the team balance or the team chemistry, all that stuff, which is super, super important, and maybe more important than the individual play skill, assuming the floor is met to be competitive.
Right.
They did a phenomenal job, and they innovated this tournament too.
Really?
They ran some really interesting comps. They played against Flat Earth in the first round, and it was casted by ZP and Hex. And ZP and Hex named their attack strategy on Route 66, escort the president. Did you see this?
No.
You see this comp?
No, I'm legitimately intrigued right now.
Attacking on offense, Route 66, they started with a Widowmaker, okay? Followed things up with another Widowmaker.
Okay.
So those are your sharpshooters that protect the president.
Okay.
They started, and then they went with a Reinhardt.
Okay.
And then a Reinhardt. And then a Bastion. And they put a Bastion on the payload with 2 Reinhardt shields in front of him,
And then the
and 2
sharpshooter.
snipers on the outside to pick people off that weren't right in their face.
Yeah.
So
And who was the last?
the last, I honestly
Probably
can't
a
remember.
flex
It was
spot,
probably
like
it was a Winston, or I'm sorry, Mercy.
Mercy.
Because sometimes the president gets shot, right? So you can't
Right.
have a dead president; you have to resurrect him. So
That's
the few
awesome.
times that Flat Earth was able to break this absurd composition,
They just rest.
you saw 2 Reinhardts and a Bastion get resurrected.
Wow.
Probably the coolest moment of the whole match was actually the Bastion getting wrecked. And he literally, like, Genji comes flying in and just dashes right in between the 2 Reinhardts.
Yeah.
Stands in front of the Bastion and deflects all his shots right back at him, and he dies. And it was just so fun. I mean, it didn't matter. Like, they just resurrected the Bastion, he stepped back up again, and they moved on.
Yeah.
But it was just super funny to watch them try to beat this comp. And even at the end of it, Flat Earth was like, well, at least you were innovative, or you know what I mean? So it was a really interesting composition to see, and I hope to see more of it, and I can't wait to test it personally. It should be a pretty good time.
And I've talked about it before. One of the most interesting things that I find with Overwatch are these new and innovative comps, and that is definitely one we have not seen much of. We haven't seen it at all.
I was hoping we were going to get Hex on this week. I know he's planned for in the next couple episodes, assuming everything works out. But he named it, I believe, Escort the President. So I was hoping to get his take on that. So we'll have to make sure we ask him what he thinks about that comp, or any other really interesting compositions he's seen work in the earlier brackets that maybe we don't watch if we're coming to the tournament late or watching on VODs. We might skip them, but.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah. Oh, another thing that we didn't mention at the top of the segment is that we saw another team move. Life of Hanzo is now Team Liquid.
Yeah, big signing.
Yeah, big signing, big team. Another big team, another big esports organization throws their hat in the pool for another good team. So that's things are happening, man. Things are happening. It is interesting. I don't think Oh no, Liquid is in the Overkill tournament, so they will be there to play in that. So that's kind of cool. And they didn't do too great in the invitational this weekend, but there's got to be even though they've been playing together for however long, there's got to be some like jitters, like metaphorically putting on those Team Liquid jerseys for the first week. Like there's got to be the nerves and whatnot. That's just like there's just got to be. I can't imagine like I'm in the majors now.
Against a team called Veteran. I don't know much about them. I believe they were a Chinese team that was kind of a late addition to the tournament. So I think they kind of filled in for a team that got invited that backed out.
Gotcha.
Kind of late, but I don't know 100% where they came from. I think I caught their match against Luminosity, and that's where I'm getting that information from. But Liquid was able to pick up that win against Veteran, and then they fell to Reunited, who was in second place at the end of the event, and then they fell in the losers bracket to Impulse 11, who went on to be third place. So didn't lose to any scrubs or anything like that. They definitely put up a good showing. Took a game off of Impulse 11 actually, which was great to see, and just a strong showing from them, and congratulations to them on their signing, because that's not a small team they just got picked up by.
No.
That's one hell of a backing, and I think that's safe to say that that's going to increase their commitment level and bring them into the forefront pretty quickly. As there's a reason Liquid signed them. And, I don't know a ton about the life of Hanzo and where they came from before that, before Overwatch, or even how they've done in the tournaments they've entered. I just know they haven't been in every tournament. They've been kind of sporadically
sporadic, but they've shown some decent performances. I think at least they might have gotten a couple top fours.
Yeah, I feel like we've mentioned them.
We've definitely talked about them before. Yeah, it was definitely last week because it was written down as TLOH, and I didn't know what it was. And you were like, "Oh, it's the Life of Hanzo." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of them before."
Yeah, they're not an unknown quantity, but I'm sure the sponsorship will increase their attendance to the tournaments and things like that. So keep an eye on them. They should be a whole lot of fun to watch. And I really can't wait to see these. Now that the orgs are signed, I need to look up and find out what the rivalries are from other games,
Yeah,
because those will carry over into this one
for
for
sure.
sure. The organizations just will create that hype with the
And
fans
so
as they
will
bring
we.
fans from other games over. Yeah, we're more than happy to hype up matches with rivalries as well. Try to stop us from doing it mostly,
Yeah.
but but yeah. So this was a great event all around. I did catch the good second half of the first day and the entire second day. Um, the losers bracket finals and the finals were best of 5. Reunited beat Impulse 11 3-1 in the losers bracket finals, and then Cloud9 beat Reunited 3-1 in the grand.
The Cloud9s of the world, maybe they get that second wind in the losers bracket and really try to do something about it, especially since you get a second chance at those crazy comps and whatnot that IDQD tended to bring from time to time. So who knows? I definitely do like the double elimination tournament for the higher level play, not necessarily for the opens, but I do definitely like it for this. And one last thing, I just want to go over. We just got a couple of the bullet points from if we have double elimination, because those teams like the Cloud9s of the world, maybe they get that second wind in the losers bracket and really try to do something about it, especially since you get a second chance at those crazy comps and whatnot that IDQD tended to bring from time to time. So who knows? I definitely do like the double elimination tournament for the higher level play, not necessarily for the opens, but I do definitely like it for this. And one last thing, I just want to go over. We just got a couple of the bullet points from I know we're kind of jumping around from the Overkill tournament, because I found out the details about this like about a half an hour before we started the cast, because I saw it on Gosu Gamer's page today, and I clicked on it and it said not available or coming soon. It said, so they just announced it today. And if you're listening to this not live, 2 days ago. So the general information is 2 groups with 4 teams, each divided by regions, EU and NA, obviously. The champions of each region will face off in a cross-region final. Map drafting through OverwatchDraft.com. That's normal. Group stages are best of 5. Finals are best of 7. So that's different, right? That's usually best of 3 and then best of 5, right? So this is going to be a longer.
I don't know if the Gosu game. I think they're best of 5 on the Gosu Gamers at the end of the weeklies. Usually at the end of the finals, a best of 7 is quite a task to ask of the 2 teams that have been playing all day. So but yeah, this sounds like it's going to be a multiple day event. So they're not. Yeah,
it's going to be across between the 12th and the 20th of April. So actually starting tomorrow.
Yeah, or yesterday if you're listening.
Or yesterday.
It recorded.
And actually, if you're listening to it recorded, check it out now. It might be going live now.
Yeah. As soon as this is over, you want to make sure you stick through the rest of the episode.
Absolutely, or watch both at the same time. So like we said, group stage, blah, blah, blah. $5,000 prize pool. This, of course, is going to be supplemented by the Matcherino donations, which I sadly didn't get a chance to get on this week. I feel bad. I love going on there and having the casters read my silly things that I send to them.
Well, the one thing I will say is that the top 5 to actually get some notice of it was a higher bar set for the invitational than it has been for the weeklies. So
I see.
Might have been tougher to keep your name up at the top of that list. But
yeah. Well, someday.
For this event, they totaled $3,464 in the prize pool by the end of things. If
that's pretty sweet.
The Liquipedia entry I'm looking at is 100% accurate. They weren't the people that put on the tournament, so it's possible it's not correct.
It's biased towards Life of Hanzo. So this was an interesting one. The winner will be crowned King of the Beta. So that's an interesting title to have forever, I guess.
Hey, made-up titles are the best.
They really are.
All the time to make myself feel good.
Yep. And official coverage hub will be at overkill.gg. So, again, either while you're still listening to this or right afterwards, go to overkill.gg, check that out. And this might be my favorite my favorite tidbit on it. No offense to any of the other casters, but all the games will be broadcasted live on twitch.tv, on the Overwatch, Ghost Through Gamers Overwatch Twitch TV channel by ZP and Hexagrams. So arguably the biggest announcer caster names in Overwatch are going to be doing the whole thing. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, definitely our favorite. A great, big, huge props to every caster we've seen through all the tournaments. Joshi, Fish Sticks, Jorisar, ZP, and Hex make up the group that I've seen personally.
Yeah.
They all have their redeeming qualities, but I think at this point I've just seen so much more of ZP and Hexagrams that I've become used to them, and I'm very comfortable with them casting. So they're definitely my preferred team as well as yours. And, and it's always great to see them get, in the booth casting an event.
And just so you guys know, so that you don't think that we're just being nice to every caster we come across, there were definitely casters in Hearthstone that we did not like.
Oh, we're not afraid to tell you. We don't care who we piss off. We assume no one hears us when we talk in these shows anyways.
Who was it? Yeah. Oh, I hate, what's his name? Monk, yes!
He was the worst.
I almost had to throw into the swear jar there. I hate Monk. He's the worst caster ever. So I hate him. There was Noxious. I cannot stand Noxious. He's the most annoying caster probably ever.
I like his stream. I'm not a big fan of his
I didn't even like his
style,
stream either.
It makes for a better stream than it does like a professional tournament.
He's like as salty as Raynad, but Raynad, like, if you watch enough Raynad, you realize Raynad gets salty about like real things, and Noxious is just an idiot all the time. Like Raynad is at least funny. We'll call people out
if we don't like them, but the small number of Overwatch casters have all been very good so far. Really. So much of what differentiates them to me is the perspective they use when they're casting, and it's hard to know if that comes from the tournament organizers or where the directive for what to use comes from. But nonetheless, we definitely are big fans of all the Overwatch guys. They all have their merits and their strengths. But yeah, we're really hoping ZP and Hex stay as the prime team.
Yeah. The dream team,
right? They're real professional, but they get me real excited when something big's going on. They've got the right balance, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and the other two that we saw, but we haven't really seen since I think Beta 1, were the ESL casters. Remember those tournaments, the ESL tournaments?
I didn't really watch any of those. I just watched some VODs and pick and chose, but
I really liked the casting of those, but that was so long ago that I barely even remember. It actually might have been Fish Sticks that did one of the. I don't remember.
I want to say Jason Kaplan is
Jason Kaplan. Yeah.
They always have really well produced tournaments. So I think there's an ESL tournament coming up Saturday. There might be this team called Casual Tryhards entered into it. If so, you might have a commentator or one of your co-hosts that's participating on that team. So yeah, we did name ourselves. We did not go with the name that came from the Blevins. We decided to keep the memes and the dongers out as much as possible, but we couldn't keep them out completely. So we do spell tryhards just like the Twitch emote.
Nice.
So keep an eye out for us. Hopefully, our rosters, Rekos, Lucky Seven, myself, Chucklenuts, and BVD. Wow, is that 6 people? Did I get everybody?
Probably.
I think so. Yeah, I usually. Oh, Smizley.
Oh, you forgot Smizley.
Can't forget Smizley.
Oh, Smizley. Oh, Smizley.
He's the jerk on the team that's outranking everybody right now because he's on spring break. So he's just kind of hanging out.
Wait a second. Aren't you like on basically like always spring break though?
I am a little bit, but I don't. He'll like solo queue for ranked, and I won't.
Oh yeah, that sounds awful.
To me, it's the worst. For him, he says sometimes he has better luck with it.
I think he's just trying to say that you guys are bad.
If you're going in with a half-baked, half-formed team, sometimes that can be a bigger problem for you than going in solo. But yeah. So generally speaking, I want to say he's advanced 3 or 4 right now, and I'm 2 going on 3. So it'll be curious to see in 1 week's time where he is once he's back at school and I'm still unemployed.
Cool. Although you did get the interview, so
it's true. Yeah, I might not be unemployed long, and then I'll just never catch him. Rip.
Yeah, Ripperino Pastacino. So we kind of talked about the relevant tournaments from this weekend. We talked a little bit about competitive play, at least what it is. Do we want to talk a little bit more about what we kind of want it to be and where we're expecting it to go? Let's do that. Let's just do it.
All right, you're gonna have to start because I haven't
got a
given
little bit
this
of time.
any thought.
We've got a little bit of time left. Yeah, we got time. So my thoughts on competitive play, like it so far. Definitely think it's a great thing. Definitely think it's going in the right direction. But my concern with competitive play is where is it going to go and how is it going to make me want to keep playing it? So with Hearthstone, for instance, ranked play has been around in some form or another since the beta, maybe even the alpha. It's been around basically forever, at least since I started playing. It might not have been in the very early versions of me playing, but it was really bad when it first started. But it kind of got to the point where they kind of tricked us into thinking that BlizzCon like qualifier points were attainable by humans, which was basically just a bold-faced lie. That was never going to happen. And then they kind of basically it boiled down to you play until you get legend, you get your legend card backs, and then after that there's basically no reason to play competitive or ranked mode for any reason other than to say that you got legend again, right? Or if you're trying to some arbitrary outside of the game thing that you set for yourself, like, oh, I want to be top 100 legend, I want to be blah 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 blah, I want to get to rank blah blah blah. Once you hit legend, there's nothing else in game that you get except for the little like schmitzy prizes they give you for getting a certain rank every month. Like it's garbage.
Yeah,
it's useless. Chest. It's useless once you like when you're at the level that we were where you have everything. Like I don't care if I get another golden Twilight Drake at the end of the month. That was useless to me. I have every card. And I mean, it was nice to get golden cards because that's basically at the point where I am, where I'm just trying to golden out decks, but I've got 3 golden decks. If I get golden cards that aren't in my decks, it's just useless to me, basically. It's just saving up stuff to buy for the next set. But basically, there's no real reason for me to keep playing competitive. And I don't really know the solution to that unless there was like a tournament mode. Like Magic Online makes sense because you can keep, it's not, you can't get everything in Magic Online. It would cost you literally definitely tens of, if not probably tens of thousands of dollars to get all the stuff on Magic Online.
And it had like things on Magic Online have a tangible worth in the real world. You can sell them on YouTube. You can
on YouTube. You can sell them on YouTube.
You can watch our episodes on YouTube, but you can't really sell anything there. No, you can sell them in third place markets, or third
I cashed out multiple times.
Yeah, there's like a lot of different ways to get real life value from finishes on Moto, but not really a ranked set there.
And you can actually qualify for the Pro Tour on Magic Online, which is not unheard of. And I think they actually had a couple of online Grand Prix. So there was tangible, real stuff and real reasons to keep playing Magic Online at a competitive level if that's what you wanted. In Hearthstone, once you got your Legend card backs, unless you really cared about getting Legend every month, which I don't, or if you needed to get more cards from the chests at the end of the month, which, again, I don't, there's no actual reason for me to keep playing ranked. So that's the kind of thing I want to not happen. With
you're fading off and getting really quiet, but that's basically sums up the reason why neither of us really play much Hearthstone anymore. And from being such big Magic players, people that could think and play Magic 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when we were into it, that's really something Hearthstone I think missed out on. Is the fact that it wasn't the gameplay that spoiled us; it was the lack of incentive, the lack of reason to keep playing, and that's really it, because the format changes faster in Hearthstone, I think. Maybe not as drastically, but we'll see now that there's a standard format and things like that coming out towards the end of this month. Could be out already for all I know. I wouldn't know.
No, it's not out yet.
Okay, I didn't think so, because I probably would have gotten back into it. But it'll be interesting to see, because this this rank system works a lot like Hearthstone.
Mhm.
We didn't go into the full details of it, but you move up through, I want to say it's challenged or advanced. I'm going to miss like the next two, and then you move into this heroic rank.
It's
And then
basically legendary.
yeah, you're basically hit legendary. When you're in the heroic rank, they rank you like they do in legendary amongst all the other people across the heroic rank.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see your physical place, and I'm the X best player on the NA server for this game.
Yep.
And so I'm very excited to get to that point, but in order to make me want to get there and keep getting there, there's a couple things I think need to happen, and the first is longer seasons. It's so far, at least in what I've seen, it's too difficult to rank up. It's not something where I want my rank to reset every month, because
True.
There's too much work that goes into it. I don't want to lose it right away. I don't want to feel like I have to play ranked if I'm not having a good day or a good. My aim's been bad the last couple of weeks. I've been playing mostly Mercy and Lucio.
Yeah.
That's fine, but there's going to be times when you're just not feeling it or what have you, and it's not the best thing in the world to be queuing ranked. And if it's a month-long season, that's not enough. You have to play it if you want to get there, and nothing else matters. So I would love to see longer than 1 month resets on this ranked mode, and I'm thinking probably 3 is an appropriate time. What about you, John?
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. It seems like the month kind of makes sense for Hearthstone, right? You can play 20 games in a day, more if you wanted to, and you can play very casually in the sense that you don't need to be in front of your computer, and you don't need a powerful computer to play Hearthstone. You can literally play it on your phone. So playing the number of games that you need to play doesn't take necessarily a whole heck of a lot of time and a whole heck of a lot of effort from an actual physical amount of effort standpoint for Hearthstone, right? So you can imagine that when you increase that by multiple times, because you need your computer, you need to be playing your computer, you need a team of 5 other people. I guess you don't necessarily need the team of 5 other people, but your rank is going to be influenced by other people. That already kind of throws off the whole personal ranking thing. It seems like they need to put it closer to Heroes, but I also like that it's closer to Hearthstone. Although right now there's not any reason to play ranked in Heroes of the Storm. You don't get anything as far as I know. But yes, I do think longer seasons is something that we want, just because of the nature of the game. Another thing I want is give me something tangible in game. Even if it doesn't even need to be a skin necessarily. Maybe it's just a portrait or a portrait border, or even a pose, or I mean, now this might be crazy because I haven't put it in, like a little, like in the game, what's that game called? Dirty Bomb. They have these little like trinkets that you can put on your gun that all they do is they just like dangle around and you can like see them on your gun. It's like almost like gun skins from CSGO, but it's just like a little thing you add to your gun. Give me something like that. And maybe
Levins wants a charm bracelet.
I want a charm bracelet in my game, confirmed. You heard it here first, folks. Charm bracelets are going to be in Overwatch, because that's what everyone wants. But no, and maybe they don't make it. So here's one of the problems that I have. I don't want to feel like I absolutely have to play to Legendary or whatever every month. So don't make it like, oh, February's what is it called? Challenger. What's the top rank in Overwatch called? Heroic. February's Heroic is a little Santa hat. March Heroic is
no hats though.
Something that is a picture or something. Make it like, when you get Heroic once, you get this thing. When you get Heroic twice, you get another thing. When you get Heroic 5 times, you get this thing. When you get heroic 10 times, you get this cool skin. So it's not necessarily, oh, I had to play every single month and I get punished forever because I didn't play this month. They kind of do that in Overwatch, but all you need, or in Hearthstone, but all you need to do is basically log in and play like 3 games to get to rank 19 to get the monthly card backs. That's not a lot to ask.
Right.
Make it like 1, 5, 10, 15. Make it every 5. Something that even if you missed a couple, you could eventually get there to get something, cool, like a legendary skins or something unique. I want something unique, but I don't want it to be something so unique that I feel like I have to get to the top level every single month, and I feel really bad if I don't get it.
So it sounds like the hero portrait thing to you could be kind of like
it could be one of the
similar
things.
Setup. Obviously, they can't do it on the hero portrait as well, but kind of the same thing where like the first time you'd beat bronze, and then the next time you get a star, and the second time you move up, and then eventually you go to silver, and then So kind of a similar thing in the way they accrue over time, and also not necessarily exclusive to the month. It sounds like you're saying is important to you. Because if you're, like Phelan, if he was playing this month, he would have had not much time because he can't even make it to the recordings of the shows, so he could pick back up next month and just
not feel like he was left out completely.
Right, and not miss out on something exclusive that he wanted, but it kept him from it, so he'd be able to unlock it eventually.
It rewards you for playing. It rewards you for playing well, but it doesn't punish you for doing both of those things at a later time, which might be the case for players like myself. I don't want to have to grind every day when I get home if I don't want to. I probably will, but I don't want to be forced to do it. I think that's a good compromise. Jeff Kaplan, I know you're listening. There's a suggestion for you, buddy.
Get on it.
Get on it.
Expect to see it by next episode.
And actually, when you put it in, you can come on the show and talk to us about it and how I inspired you. It's okay. Well, I won't take too much credit.
Yeah, we'll allow it.
We will allow it. All right, we're running out of time. Surprisingly enough, we're running over. Death, do you have any last words on competitive play, on the tournaments, on anything? This is a helter-skelter episode if we've ever had one.
As usual, my parting words of advice are the same, whether I've given them or not. If your team already has a sniper, don't pick another one.
So true. My response to that is, did I ever tell you about the Reddit post where it was a quick hits Overwatch questions, and one of the things was like, what's worse than the Widowmaker that's definitely on your team right now in quick match? Did I ever tell you about that?
I think so, yeah.
And then the night, and I responded with the Hanzo someone picked right afterwards. This just always happens in quick match. Although your filthy non-casual probably doesn't even know that much about it. But good stuff. Let's close it off like we normally do. Death, where can people find you?
On Twitch, twitch.tv/D3ATH_BL0W, spelled like it is just below my face if you're watching on a visual platform, but just add the underscore there. And then otherwise on Twitter, and that is my Twitter name underneath my face there, D3ATHBL0W.
Yes, and you guys can always find me at _Blevins on Twitter, or twitch.tv/theblevins, which if you're watching live, hi, you're already here. Hit that follow button. It really helps. Also, make sure you hit that follow button for Death too. I don't know if he soullessly sold out for a follow, but please do it. You can always contact us as the podcast on Twitter at High Noon Podcast, or if it's your fancy to email us, send us an email at highnoonpodcast@gmail.com. If you're watching live, you can see all of our cool little buttons and stuff down there. They're not actually buttons. You can see us on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and SoundCloud now. I'm pretty sure you can go to any of those and type in High Noon Podcast, and you'll find us there. You can also always find us on creationesports.com. We're right there. Check them out at Creation Esports. On Twitter, I think that's everything. Thank you guys, all the new watchers. I'm going to remember to actually play the outro this time. But until next time, guys, please remember one thing. It's high noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. Threw the coin away that same day. past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now guides my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world